Welcome to the 28th episode of the Red Sox Unfiltered Podcast. Guys, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the Boston Red Sox, the team that we podcast about since April, since the beginning of the season, are World Series champs. It was an absolute grind. It was so euphoric. It was a cathartic experience, and I can't stop saying it. The Red Sox are the 2018 World Series champions. So joining me, as always, is my lovely co-host, Dave Latham. Dave, how excited are you?
We did it. I can't believe it, although I totally can. This team was amazing from start to finish, but we actually did it. It's phenomenal, and I'm just so happy. I'm on cloud nine, and I think, Pat, you, me, and Chris, we deserve a little bit of credit here because 100% of the years that we podcast about the Red Sox, they win the World Series.
I didn't think about it like that.
I was gonna say that. I was going to say that. You ruined it.
Every single year.
Every single year. I can't wait for year two.
We're just that good at it.
We're just that good. They listen to our podcast. You know that's why they're so successful, right?
Oh, yeah. That's why Joe Kelly was left off the postseason roster.
Yeah, exactly. We're good at our takes.
Bobby Pointer. He's the hero.
Yeah, that was our guy, Bobby Pointer. But also joining us is Chris Drosehn. Chris, you've already said hi, but say hi again, formally. Hey. So, yeah, this episode is just going to be one of joy, bliss, passion, and it's going to be a great episode. It's going to be a little different. We're going to save most of our forward-thinking free agency scenarios until next week. This is celebration and reflection of what was an incredible season, and I feel like that's honestly what it should be about. So we're still going to run through a couple of the games, talk about the big moments, but at the end we're just going to wrap it up with just a celebration because this team is so freaking good. Perhaps the best Red Sox. Let's get this out of the way now. Is this the best Boston Red Sox team you have ever seen in your lifetime? Dave, I'm going to start with you.
Honestly, yes, and it's not even that close. I love the 04 Sox, love the 07 Sox, love the 13 Sox, but this team was something special. We won 108 games in the regular season without even trying for the last month and a half of the season. And then in the playoffs, we only lost 3 games despite the American League being incredibly top-heavy. We went through 200-win teams, and we went 7-2 against them, and then we kind of just took the Dodgers out, and only one game was even in question, and it took them 18 innings to beat us. I mean, this is the best team I've ever seen, from the Red Sox, and honestly, I think you got to start thinking about putting them in, the historical great teams. The 98 Yankees are really the only thing that comes close in my mind, recent memory.
Yeah, definitely. Big Red Machine, a little bit. Oh, but that's a little far back. What was it, the 1998 Seattle Mariners or 2000 Seattle Mariners? They
didn't. They got the regular season wins, but they couldn't get the ALTS.
They were losers.
That doesn't count. If you can't win it all, who cares?
That is true. That just seems like it undercuts. They were so good, and then the playoffs. Yeah, they didn't win the whole enchilada, but that was.
They didn't even come close.
I know they didn't come close, but that was a special team. Even though I don't remember it much, I've looked at the statistics. They were stacked. What about you, Chris? Best Red Sox team in history?
I've only been following the team for this year, so yeah. No, I'm kidding. They are. It's hard to find for all the negative talk and all of that bad stuff that we heard about. They put it to rest. They've literally walked through the playoffs. They're they lost a game in every series and that was it. And it was just we're just gonna kind of sort of walk right through this, and little to no opposition. There wasn't that much fighting going on from the other teams. They just kind of laid down and died for the Red Sox.
They literally lay down and die. They did damage to everyone they faced, including the Yankees. Love you, Brian Cashman. Just kidding, I don't. This was an since I'm younger than you guys too, so I probably have less Red Sox viewing in my lifetime. I've had about 18, probably 14, 13, 12 conscious years where I could somewhat understand most. No, I mean, I'm underselling 5-year-old me. But I would say 2004 obviously was epic, but I was 6. so I couldn't really appreciate that as much. But that team obviously probably served a more nostalgic and more freeing purpose. But in terms of which team is the best, I don't know how you go against this 2018. Maybe 2004 was more important. But this 2018 team won 108 games. And, like, I know everyone says that, but we need to repeat. They won 108 games. And as Dave said, they weren't trying for a month and a half. And they were starting Zooey, Lin, pitching Williams, Cuevas. They were starting Sam Travis. They didn't care the last month and a half. I mean, they cared, but they were resting.
No, they didn't.
No, they didn't really care. Yeah, don't even go there. And then they go to the playoffs, and people were a little afraid. Could they be rusty? They haven't, gotten a good momentum going into the playoffs. And they just steamrolled 200-win teams. New York Yankees wiped them out, annihilated them. Houston Astros, defending World Series champions, they absolutely killed them. And then the Los Angeles Dodgers came around, and that was probably even worse than what they did to the Astros. So, yes, this is the best Boston Red Sox team. It was sheer dominance all around. I think their run differential and base runs, as we talked about before the podcast, does not serve them justice of just how fearsome and how good this Red Sox team actually was. So, congrats again, guys. But let's get down to breaking this down a little bit. So, Game 1 started. It was an 8-4 victory by the Boston Red Sox, and we're just going to go over some key highlights of each. The thing that stuck out in this one to me was certainly the Eduardo Nunez home run. I don't know how you can think of it as anything else. The pinch hitting decision that at first evoked some head scratching among Red Sox fans. Why would you take out Rafael Devers, who is hitting like a beast throughout the postseason in the World Series, for Eduardo Nunez, who is significantly worse offensive player than him? And then Eduardo Nunez hits a 3-run home run off the left-handed pitcher Alex Wood, makes the game out of reach. Eduardo Nunez is the hero. And we all look stupid yet again. Alex Cora made us look stupid yet again. What were your thoughts when this Eduardo Nunez was hit, Dave? This home run?
So if you follow the Twitter feed, right as it was happening, I saw Nunez, get into the on-deck circle, and I tweeted out, I think it was, quote, "If we're pinch hitting Devers for Nunez, we deserve everything we get." And then, we got a 3-run homer, so I guess we deserve really good things. It's just, I don't get it. And that was just what makes the season so special. It's Cora knew exactly when to use analytics, and Cora knew exactly when to use his gut every single time. Just about, he was right. It was amazing, and just another part of this magical season that was just start to finish just so awesome. Even spring training, we were the best spring training team around.
Oh yeah, I forgot we were pretty good in spring training, weren't we? I don't care anything about spring training, but yeah, I forgot. Yeah, we killed that too. We were since March. What about you, Chris? What were your thoughts on this Eddie Nunez 3-run Jaeger bomb?
Do you want me to be honest?
Yes, of course.
How honest do you want me to be?
As honest as possible, probably. I don't know, actually. Yeah, you go for it.
I was asleep.
Oh, Chris, not that honest.
This is now a 2-person podcast.
No, I literally I was asleep for a couple hours in the middle there, and it's kind of embarrassing, but you guys got to work and whatnot. So, yeah. but no, when I went back and watched it, because that's what I do. It just speaks to Cora all year. Just people said stuff, and Cora did other stuff, and he just kept pulling the right levers. The guy everything he touched turned to gold. I've never seen anything like it. It was something to watch.
Yeah, and I think there does come the question. I mean, you can't question it when it works out. And sometimes that's randomness. Sometimes that's maybe the gut showing things that the analytics don't, which is something that Alex Cora has been lauded by all of his players for having that special knack to just mediate the two old school and new school approaches. But yeah, that process looked a little head scratching, but it was a platoon advantage for Nunez too. It was going for him, so I understood it a little bit. But then again, Devers' bat has just been so fearsome, and especially he's been not like last season. I don't know about this season as much. He was really good against left-handed hitters. But regardless, it was a decision that worked out perfectly. Eduardo Nunez absolutely killed it. Good for you, Eddie. Probably come back this year. We might talk about this later on this podcast or the next one. But, yeah, do you have any other thoughts from Game 1, Dave? Chris Sale pitched.
Yeah, Sale pitched, but those aren't the happy thoughts, and I'm sticking with the happy thoughts exclusively for this podcast. So, nope, that's it.
The World Series. Yeah, okay. What about you, Chris?
No thoughts.
Okay, Game 2. This was the beginning of Dave Price's torrid World Series. He started 2 games, and he was absolutely lights out in both. More so in his most recent start, but he was really good in this one, too. David Price is just, man. He allowed 2 earned runs and 3 hits in an even 6 innings of work. He punched out 5 and walked 3. It was a thing of beauty, especially against this Dodgers lineup that was even better than the Astros statistically. So you were really impressed when what he did against the Astros, and then you're like, okay, well, he just did that against arguably a better lineup. And this was a really good game for the Red Sox. There wasn't a lot of exciting offense. It was more a couple of singles and then some miscues. But yeah, this was it was like the JD Martinez dropped a clutch single into right field, but it wasn't hard to hit. And then the bullpen started its dominance. Nathan Eovaldi pitched his second game out of the bullpen. Joe Kelly action. Joe Kelly, Mean Joe Kelly, Fight Club Joe Kelly. So there was a lot of good stuff going here, but Dave Price stood out to me. What about you, Dave?
Yeah, honestly, I can't even remember what the offense did. I know that we won because, we won the game, but all I remember about that game, the thing that really sticks out is just David Price doing it again after he gets his first career postseason win, which I know that's not really a meaningful stat, but it's been a big monkey on his back. He gets the first postseason win in a fantastic start against the Astros to clinch our trip to the World Series. He comes back out, and then he just does it again. He takes down the Dodgers. It was a fantastic start, and it just shows, like, when this guy's on, there's really not too many in the league better than him, and he played his best baseball at the very best time, really dating all the way back to the regular season. Once Sale went down in the second half of the year, Price was the ace of this staff.
For sure, and I think someone tweeted this. I don't know who it was. I've been looking through Red Sox Twitter all day because it's been that great. But someone tweeted to the fact of David Price they quoted Price from 2015 after he signed. He said, "I'm saving all of my postseason wins for Boston." People may have laughed, but they are laughing no longer because that's what he did. He saved them. What about you, Chris? What were your takeaways from Game 2, which was our second win, by the way?
Easily the most run-of-the-mill game of all of them. Like, it was just
this is pretty boring.
Yeah, it was kind of just like this
relatively.
World Series. This is the World Series. Great, sounds like fun. There just wasn't that much going on.
Uneventful.
Yeah, very uneventful. Which I guess it's good and bad. The only eventful thing was the fact that David Price, again, people were thinking that he was going to lay an egg, but he didn't. So.
And have you officially, I think we talked about last podcast, if Price pitched another good game in the World Series, you would never call him Tinkle Fingers again? Has that passed? Has that actually come to fruition, Chris?
I haven't called him Davey Tinkle Fingers since.
You haven't? Okay, good. We'll hold you to that in 2019 too.
I feel like there was something else that I said as well.
Did you?
I feel like there was, but I don't remember what it was.
We got to go back the tapes.
Yeah, we're gonna have to because
we'll review the tape. We have a long off season ahead. We'll have to break stuff down.
Definitively something that I said. I don't quite remember what it was, but that might have been it. I don't know, but I'm hoping that's it.
Yeah. See, at least you didn't say you would buy a Jackie Bradley Jr. jersey and then had to spend $100 like I did. But that was good. I'm happy I have that. So yeah, Game 2, 4-2 victory. Let's move on to Game 3. This was a game that I don't really want to relive, but I mean, in retrospect, it doesn't really matter anymore. This was a tough game for me emotionally and physically because I was so freaking tired. This literally, I had to wake up at 5 a.m. before the morning before. So when this ended at 3:40, I had literally almost been up for 24 hours straight. So that was rough, but again, in retrospect, the Red Sox lost one game, so this doesn't matter. But this seemed to like just kill the momentum. Like, this was not a good game to lose, and they put their look. I think everyone was inspired by Nathan Eovaldi's effort. His 6th-inning performance, he pitched masterfully. I was supposed to pitch Game 4, but he came in the 12th inning, and he pitched all the way to the 18th inning, shutting the Dodgers down by and large, and still got the loss. Thank you, Ian Kinsler. Rick Porcello also pitched in this game. But talk to me, Dave, about Nathan Eovaldi and what this performance meant to the Red Sox in this game, despite the loss, and going forward to Game 4 and Game 5.
So if you have to, this game really spoke a lot about what type of team the 2018 Red Sox were and really what defined them. Because if you lose a heartbreaking game in 18 innings when your Game 4 starter can no longer pitch Game 4 and they still lose, I mean, that can break a team. It has. Situations like that have broken teams like countless times throughout the era across sports. But what really got me, like, after the game, because I'll admit I was not in a happy place at 3:30 in the morning when that homer went through, but the next day when the tweets start coming in from the beat reporters saying that, Alex Cora reported that Chris Sale, David Price, and even Rick Porcello, right after the game, was waiting outside of Cora's office to say, hey, start me tomorrow. Like, Rick Porcello, who started Game 3, wanted to start Game 4, just like all those guys laying it on the line. And really, it's all encapsulated by what Eovaldi did, because that was one of the best appearances I've ever seen. I know that, he ended up getting the loss. He gave up the run. But anyone who doesn't have the utmost respect and admiration of Nathan Eovaldi just doesn't know what they're watching, because he was throwing 100 miles an hour on a day he wasn't supposed to pitch 90 pitches into his outing. We blew through everyone else in the bullpen except Drew Pomeranz, who, let's face it, that's an automatic loss. So it was really, absolutely, the team built off that energy. And, Porcello said it himself, it was one of the gutsiest, I think Porcello said it was the gutsiest pitching performance he'd ever seen. And I remember Kelly, Game 4 or Game 5, he said, he'd been waking up sore, and then he thought about what Eovaldi must be feeling, and he thought, no, I can tough it out if he can. So really, Nathan Eovaldi, we lost, but Nathan Eovaldi gave that team so much energy. I think it powered us through Games 4 and 5.
Yeah, I think Nathan Eovaldi injected warrior into every Red Sox member's DNA, because he was a warrior that game. And again, I don't know if I said this, but the Red Sox lost in 18 innings. This went to 3:30 in the morning, 3:45 in the morning, longest postseason game in history. But what about you, Chris? What were you thinking about Nathan Eovaldi's performance?
Well, to me, like Dave mentioned, sometimes it can break a team. I mean, especially something like that where he gave it his all, and they unfortunately lost. Obviously, it doesn't matter now, but it's kind of like the Astros. You go back to them in that home run call. That home run call literally broke the Astros. At least that's what it sounded like it did anyways. I can't speak to whether it did actually, but it sounded like it did. So you need something like this to happen every once in a while. And hearing about this, and like Dave said, everybody showing up and being like, yeah, I want to pitch tomorrow. Later today. I want to pitch. I want to start. And then Nathan Eovaldi going out to the bullpen in Game 4, like the psychopath that he is. You know what I'm saying? He was just like, I'm going out there anyways. It speaks to what the team did all year. Is really what it does.
Yeah, it was so tenacious. It was so gutsy. Rick Porcello even said he cried. He was shedding tears watching Nathan Eovaldi pitch or afterwards, because the dude gave it everything he got. My goodness.
And he's coming off Tommy John. What did they put in his elbow?
He's had 2 Tommy John surgeries. 2.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Did they just replace it with, titanium?
That would explain a lot. That's how he got to 103.
Did you see the quote from Cora where he was like, yeah, his agent's gonna kill him or something.
I thought that was hilarious. So in this game, Jackie Bradley Jr. also hit a very clutch home run. You knew I had to say it. You knew I was going to mention this. JBJ in the 8th inning, he already had his ALCS MVP reign, but in the 8th he continued his heroics. There was a lot of questions about if Bradley should be in the lineup because Benny actually got sat the first game because it was National League. JD Martinez had to flock to the outfield. And there was a little bit of criticism. Should Jackie Bradley Jr. be in here over Andrew Benintendi? And Alex Cora put JBJ in there, and of course it worked. JBJ was really the only offense in this parade for the Red Sox outside of Eduardo Nunez, like almost dying for that run in like the 13th inning. So yeah, this JBJ homer meant a lot. I don't know if you guys, we're trying to keep it positive, so I think we'll stray away from Ian Kinsler slander right now. Is that okay with you guys? Because I know we had our fair share on Twitter.
Yeah, I want to actually, Ian Kinsler's not listening to this, but all of his apologists out there, I want to issue an apology. Kinsler made a bad play, no one can deny that, but I was very mean to him on Twitter, and I do feel bad for how mean I was, but most of that has to be due to it being 2 o'clock when that error happened and me having to stay up an extra hour and a half because of it. So that is why I was mean to Ian Kinsler. Bad play, but, dude's human.
My favorite thing that came out of this game was at midnight in LA. The whole crowd started cheering. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I'm like, they need cameras in living rooms across New England so that they can see all of us sitting there like dead tired at 3 o'clock in the morning watching this game.
That was adorable watching the Dodgers fans think they're tougher staying in a game like till midnight when they normally, to their credit, they normally shuffle out around the 7th inning, so this was a big deal for them, but come on.
Yeah, that was nothing compared to what we had to suffer through. I actually fell asleep, like Chris did in Game 1. I fell asleep a little bit there.
Bro. I fell asleep too.
Yeah,
I was asleep for a good hour and a half, 2 hours there.
Oh, okay, me too. I was asleep like 30 minutes.
I saw every pitch of that goddamn game, okay?
That
Walk
is
a mile in my shoes.
That is why you were
Chris,
he does it with
loves
no
his
sleep.
sleep. That's what it is. Chris loves his sleep
too. Dave, I swear, I feel like you sleep like how many hours a night do you sleep?
10 seconds.
5 typically, but I can go a lot less than that if I need to.
Jeez, okay.
He trained himself in the ways of sleeping with his eyes open for 30 seconds at a time, or whatever they do.
No, sleep is so boring. You're alive for 80 years, give or take. You really want to spend a third of it, like, lying down, like, just to sleep? True. No, there's too much time in the day. If I didn't have to sleep at all, I wouldn't.
It's pretty comfy.
I agree.
It's pretty comfy, though.
Yeah.
And dreams are pretty great.
Yeah, I have some pretty cool dreams, and it's keeping me from making them a reality. But I have some pretty good dreams sometimes, and it was really because I fell asleep in the top 13th. Like the Red Sox had gotten the run. I saw the Eduardo Nunez thing, and I was like, "Holy crap!" Like, but I'm fluttering. Like I'm coming in and out of consciousness. I'm seeing these Nunez like just bust his ass and like almost die a couple of times, and like I'm like. Am I dreaming this? Is this real? And then I make it to the bottom 13th. Evoldi comes on the hill, and I'm like, it's 2-1. You can let this happen. When you wake, if you fall asleep, you wake up. It'll be okay. It was not okay. It was not okay. I woke up and it was 2-2. I had to go to the replay. I saw Dave's tweets on our BoSox Unfiltered account, just ripping Ian Kinsler, and I was like, oh god, what did he do? And then I saw it, and then I was ripping Ian Kinsler. And it was fun.
Hey! I already told you whose fault it was that we had to stay awake until 3 o'clock in the morning.
Jr.
Yeah,
it was.
We could have just lost a normal 1-0 game.
Exactly.
If it weren't for Jackie,
and we would have been able to say, well, Walker Buehler, he did his thing. That's he went up there and he shoved it for 7 innings.
Get him next time.
Yeah, get him tomorrow. But no. Mr. JBJ over there had to come up and be like, I'm gonna hit one over the fence, like the jerk. Yeah,
he almost got Eduardo. He almost got Eduardo Nunez killed. Like watching the extra innings, I thought Eduardo Nunez was like the subject of like baseball's version of Final Destination.
He was literally
that could go wrong with the guy.
He was literally like the crash test dummy. They were just like, we're going to test out all these weird things that could happen to somebody.
That's what happened.
He went Derek Jetering into the stands. The catcher flipped him over and dropped him on his head, and then the freaking mound attacked Nunez, and he almost died on that.
That's what happens when you only have Drew Pomeranz left in your bullpen. People are willing to die.
I thought Drew Pomeranz might be playing third at the rate it was going.
Did you hear the thing where Chris Sale wanted to go out in the field?
No.
Oh, you didn't hear about that?
No, I missed that.
No, I did not.
Alex,
please just relay.
Alex,
that is such a Chris Sale thing.
I can't remember who had it either. It was a tweet, and they the person said that Alex Cora was talking about how Chris Sale was like standing in the dugout. He was like ready to go out and play. If I think it had gone like another inning, Alex Cora was going to put him out in the field to play.
Oh my God!
He was going to. He had like his spikes on, and Chris Sale kept looking at him, and then like the 17th inning or something like that, I think it was. He looks at it, and Alex Cora's like, "All right, if it goes to the next inning, you're gonna go in and play."
Do you know where he was gonna play? Was he like third base?
It was gonna be outfield.
It could have been third. He's a lefty. He would have had to play like.
Right. Yeah.
It was if Nunez had to come out. That's what it was. If Nunez had to come out, Brock Holt would have come into third.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
And he would have gone out in the outfield and just hung around out there.
God, Christian Vasquez.
All right, so now I'm convinced Evaldi intentionally gave up that home run because I don't want Chris Sale playing left field when he can hardly pitch.
Yeah, that is true. I don't think anyone wants to see that.
More points for Evaldi right there.
I was low-key impressed by Christian Vasquez at first base. I mean, to not like totally screw up in 6 innings he played at first. That was decent. Yeah. I guess he made one good scoop. I saw like his first play ever at first base. That was kind of impressive. Okay, moving on. Let's move on to Game 4. Do you have anything else to say? Game 3? I think we covered that pretty in depth, right?
Yeah,
so this was we had a lot of fun. This was a 9-6 victory, much better than the night before. Brought the Red Sox a 3-1 series lead. Eduardo Rodriguez had to make the start because literally no one else could besides Drew Pomeranz. And, this started out looking like the Red Sox were to momentum. It looked like last night had taken out a lot from them, or that very morning. Yasiel Puig hit an epic 3-run home run, which will never be remembered at all because they, did not win it. They did not win the game. They did not win the series, so no one will really remember it. But it was 4-0 into the 7th, and then magic started happening. 2 walks later, JBJ was pinch hitting for Vasquez, got the out, but then Mitch Moreland came into pinch hit out of the pitcher's spot, and wow, a 3-run shot. Like, that came out of nowhere. This offense was dead to rights, not doing anything, and all of a sudden, Mitch Moreland hits a 3-run jack, and I'm so pumped up. Like, I didn't expect it. And, I mean, it was off Ryan Madsen, who I'd been heckling for a while, so I kind of did expect it, but I didn't expect it.
That wasn't even like a cheapy home run either. That thing was like a bomb. Like, jeez, I was like, holy
Christ.
Yeah,
that thing made it into a different time zone.
It's probably still going. I'm not convinced it landed.
Legend tells us it still sails to this day.
But yeah, that, especially because Moreland had been struggling a little bit offensively for the last maybe 3 months.
Really, since the All-Star break.
Since the All-Star break. It had been a while. That was wonderful to see. That was first half Mitch Moreland because, again, like you guys said, that was not a cheapie. And that put us right back on the map. And then Steve Pearce started his World Series MVP campaign with a game-tying solo homer in the next inning. My boy Steve Pearce, what did you think about this game-tying homer? What were your reactions? Dave, let's go. Give it to me.
So I was still riding the high of the Moreland one because we were just so dead in the water the whole game. I didn't really have much hope for us, being able to put up 4 runs in the next 2.5, 3 innings. And, Moreland hits the 3-run homer. I'm like, oh, my God, there's life. Let's go. And then Pearce comes up, and I'm like, oh, my God, we tied it because, I should have learned my lesson by now because this team, it just – no matter what the situation was, this team just didn't know the meaning of the word quit all year long. There were so many ridiculous situations where we found ourselves in games we had no right to win, and we just pull some magic out of our butts and we'd pull it off, and we did it again. This team just it was stacked full of talent, and it was stacked full of guys that could just change the game at a moment's notice, and who more often than not did.
We love ourselves some Steve Pearce. Chris, what was your reaction?
Steve Pearce for president.
Yes. 2020 campaign. Let's make it a thing.
Maybe he needs to start for mayor first. Mayor of
That's
Boston.
Usually how these things go.
Yeah. Maybe.
Did you see somebody updated his
Wikipedia page? Yeah,
he's already the owner of the Los Angeles Dodgers and the mayor of
right?
LA.
Yeah.
So
really, the internet works. The internet works way too fast. Just saying.
Wikipedia updating works way too fast. But
and just so you know, it's actually scientifically impossible to write a lie on the internet. So it's true. Pearce is the mayor of Los Angeles.
Yeah, Abraham Lincoln said that. Yeah,
I read that on the internet.
Yeah, me too. And then the Red Sox just kept scoring runs. In the next inning, the ninth, they tied it up 4-4. Brock Holt hit a clutch double down the line. We love you, Brock Star. Then Rafael Devers, Dave's boy, his boy on offense, your boy on the mound, David Price. He hit the single, the go-ahead single. And then Steve freaking Pearce hit a 3-run double, crush shot to right center, and my gosh, that basically it, 9-4. And then Craig Kimbrell gave 2 runs. Kind of made it interesting. Kiki Hernandez, screw you. But the Red Sox won Game 4. Any thoughts on that ninth inning? Just rampage, that offensive. Just any thoughts, Dave?
You just felt like maybe we did it for the ratings. Maybe, Fox called up Alex Cora and said, hey, you can't finish this thing in 4 games and not even make any of them competitive. What's that do to us? So it just like this team took, 18 to 20 innings off, and then it just went back to being the monster we saw for the other 175 or whatever games of the year. It was just a thing of beauty to watch, and it's just a reminder that, these Red Sox, they were the best team in baseball throughout the regular season. They're the best team in the postseason, and they're the World Series champions.
We're the freaking World Series champions. What about you, Chris?
Do you think that happens if Chris Sale doesn't become a lunatic in the dugout?
Oh, my God.
Right. Forgot about that. No.
How did we miss that?
Yeah, that's important.
That's why I'm here. That's why I'm here.
Good for you, Chris, helping out a fellow Chris. Yeah, Chris Sale just went ballistic in the dugout after the 6th inning, when the Red Sox hadn't scored runs. They were afraid of him. He was yelling. He was mad, telling them to pick it up. And they picked it up because they were scared of Chris Sale, like most rational human beings would be.
You know what was funny about that? People showed I saw a video that they took. Remember when David Ortiz in 2013 had that little huddle thing happen?
Yeah, it was basically the same thing.
Except the players didn't huddle around Chris Sale. They were all afraid.
They were literally trying to keep their distance.
Because this is the dude that cut up some jerseys. He's a psycho.
Yeah. I feel like the best aces are sociopaths. They have to be. You have to have something a little wrong in the head in order to and he does, and I love it.
Yeah, that dude has a screw loose, maybe 2. But he gives Chris a good name, so I can't really say bad about him,
He's a few fries short of a Happy Meal.
Yeah, exactly. I think Joe Kelly earlier this year even said that he's a self-proclaimed sociopath when during the Yankees game on the Section 10 podcast. So yeah.
He literally was like, I blacked out.
I just blacked out. Oh, that was so funny. But yeah, Chris Sale really seemed to have a positive effect on the guys. I mean, it might just be convenient. But
you gotta wonder how many of them were thinking, well, Sale, you pick up an effing bat and do it yourself. He's the pitcher yelling at you,
And I guarantee you he said, put me in the freaking game and give me the bat. And you know what? I'm not convinced that him and Sandy Leon would have much different results.
Yeah, no, probably not.
No, probably not. So any other thoughts on this game before we roll it to Game 5? No?
I'm good. I think I'm good.
Game 5, the World Series clincher. 5-1 victory. Your Boston Red Sox are World Series 2018 champions. This game started out with none other than a Steve Pearce 2-run home run. How else would you want to start a World Series game? It just seems fitting. And Price was on the mound. They had the surprising decision to put Price pitching Game 5 instead of Sale. I think we all agree that there's probably something health-wise with Sale that deterred him from making that start, and they went with Price instead. Nevertheless, David Price pitched also. He went 7 innings, gave up 1 earned run with a home run to Jock Peterson. Or, no, was it Jock Peterson?
Who cares?
Okay.
Who the freak cares? Yeah, I don't care. But he gave up that 1 home run. And then the Red Sox, Mookie Betts, who had underperformed this World Series, which is weird because the Red Sox dominated throughout the postseason without their best player, playing anything remotely resembling himself. So that was interesting. But Mookie Betts got his first postseason home run in this game. It was not a cheapie. It was a long ball. And JD Martinez, who had been struggling in the World Series, I think he's probably favoring an ankle thing too. Hit one straight center line drive. Beautiful thing. And then Steve Pearce, again, this was the game of the home run. Steve Pearce, again, hit another home run. My gosh, that's 3 home runs in 2 days, 4 extra base hits in 3 games. I don't even know how many RBIs. Wait, let me do the quick math. 7 RBIs? Someone want to fact check
I think
that?
7, yeah. He had...
Yeah.
7. 7.
Near. Yeah, okay, cool. So 7 RBIs. Steve Pearce was named ALCS MVP, World Series MVP. But before we start that, we got to talk about David Price to start. I know we just glorified his Game 2 start, but this was even better. Dave, walk me through this David Price start and your reactions.
If you want to know what $31 million a year over 7 years looks like, watch this World Series, watch Game 5, and watch what David Price did. He gave up that first pitch home run, and you're thinking, oh boy, here we go. But then he just absolutely locked down the Dodgers right after that. And really, if you look, going back to Game 5 of the Astros, what he did against arguably the 2 best offenses in baseball that weren't the Red Sox, he pitched 19-plus innings. He gave up 3 runs over that time, striking out 14, I believe, and walking 5 guys. That's just unbelievable. I have to research on it, but I haven't found any Red Sox pitcher who'd had 3 starts of being that good in the postseason. It's just, anyone who says he can't pitch in big games, anyone who says, he's not up for the challenge was just proven wrong. And I don't think there's been anyone in Red Sox, maybe not in all of baseball, who's had to deal with more criticism and slander than David Price over the last 3 years. And he just put it all to bed by putting
Pablo
together.
Sandoval.
He deserves it.
He does deserve that, doesn't he? I definitely support all the sentiments you just said with David Price. That would this postseason must have just been such a weight off his shoulder. This must have he was crying in his post game conference after the game, and that was awesome to see that Price get that moment. I feel like all Red Sox fans, even though they probably were the ones slandering him, had to feel good for the guy because he put his heart and soul into this. What about you, Chris? What did you see from DP24?
He is good.
Yes.
That's
what I'm talking about.
That is literally all you need to know is that he is good. Because I think, personally, and this is kind of spinning off into something entirely different, but
oh boy.
I
love it.
So, generally, when pitchers hit the age of 30, they generally lose a little bit on their fastball, correct? Usually, sometimes.
Yes.
Generally speaking,
they definitely do. Yep.
And what Price was a thrower, not a pitcher. I think over the past couple of years, what we saw was David Price trying to learn how to pitch. And
pitch without the velocity?
Yes. And
okay.
I think that and I'm gonna go do some I promised myself that I would actually write about this. I just haven't yet. I think following Chris Sale a lot like he was last year, not really last year because he was kind of hurt, but this year when he followed Chris Sale, I get the feeling that his velocity, his dip in velocity, after Chris Sale's out there with 98 down everybody's throats, he comes out and he's throwing 94. It's a 4-mile-an-hour difference, so it looks like softball practice to the
hitters.
Slow pitch softball for them. So yeah. I think that's part of his struggles, and I think David Price is smart. The dude's wicked smart, and I think he learned how to pitch and he learned how to take a scouting report. And I have no evidence to back this up at all.
I actually pulled up some evidence.
I heard from somewhere, I don't remember where it was, that he kind of changed up how he pitches to people.
He absolutely did.
Yeah,
he got away from the fastball.
He was pitching inside a lot
and cutter.
Yeah, he was pitching inside a lot, and now he went away. I could be wrong, but
he also he did a lot of stuff different this year. Just to add on to that, back after that one Yankees start in Yankee Stadium, the one in July on Sunday Night Baseball that went so horribly, he basically reinvented his whole mechanics. He started pitching from the first base side of the rubber. He did all sorts of different things. I think he changed his release point in his arm, all sorts of stuff. It worked for a while. And then heading into the Astros game 5, he was warming up in the bullpen game 4. He said he found something else, and he started releasing the ball more from a true north instead of a three-quarter release, I believe is what he said in an interview. And that just was the difference for him. He credits that for his strength success in the last 3 games, and he seems to have found something. Like you said, the fastball velocity has been down, and he's definitely learned how to adjust around that. Now, heading forward, I think he's either going to be like a better version of CC Sabathia, who had a similar thing happen, or he could just be like Justin Verlander, who for a few years there lost his fastball and then just found it again. And if Price can get his fastball back and be a more intelligent, smarter pitcher, I mean, I think he could go back to being a Cy Young guy, similar to what you've seen Verlander do over the past few years.
Yeah, here the thing about Price's velocity dip is, and so in 2017 it was 94.3 miles per hour on average, and then this year it was 92.7. He threw the fastball a lot less this year too, from 58% to 46%. But I think the main difference between those two numbers, you have to account for the fact that he pitched not a good chunk, but a chunk of that out of the bullpen, where his stuff was allowed to play up, thereby skewing the average fastball data. Now, the year before his Boston, he was 92.9, which is not far off from his 2018 92.7 average. That's a slight discrepancy. But to Chris's point, his first year in Boston, he came from Detroit, and it was Detroit, right? He pitched 94.2 miles per hour on average. So he has lost about 2 miles. And this year he's really gone away from the fastball, especially from years past. He's favored a cutter more, which I feel like all the Red Sox pitchers, like you think he's got a mean cutter, Nathan Eovaldi's got a mean cutter. I feel like most Red Sox starters just kind of are really getting into this cutter usage, which would be an interesting thing to write about in the offseason. But he definitely went back to the changeup too, 22.2% of the time. That thing was nasty. It was really good in the postseason. So, yeah, all credit goes to David Price. Another wonderful start. Anything else on the David Price talk?
I think we're good.
David Price is good.
David Price is good.
Very good.
Yeah. So I want to talk about Steve Pearce. He won the World Series MVP. So when Pearce hit his second home run, I tweeted on the BoSox Unfiltered Twitter account, which you should follow us at BoSox Unfiltered. I tweeted there that Captain Steve Pearce has officially clinched the World Series MVP with that home run. I totally forgot. I mean, I didn't forget. I knew, but I didn't think David Price was going to be in contention. But then, I got tweets on the account saying, David Price is right there. Are you just going to make that sweeping declaration? And I was like, oh, crap, I'm an asshole. Why did I just say that? This could go wrong.
5 seconds after, I didn't even know that you tweeted it. I tweeted out after Steve Pearce's home run, I said, Steve Pearce and David Price are really making this a battle for World Series MVP.
We've done that a couple times this World Series, where we tweet contradictory
things. If people don't know there's 2 people running the account, they just think we have a serious personality disorder.
We do. Yeah, and I think I tried to put it in the bio, it's run by you and I, but there's not enough room, there's not enough characters, and I don't know what to delete. I think we'll talk about this maybe later, but I think
we've got an off season to do managerial stuff. So
I think it's important that people are beginning to understand that there are 2 people running this account. So to avoid this in the future. But anyway, yeah, Steve Pearce then won the World Series MVP, so I didn't have to look stupid with that tweet. I thought he would, just because his slugging percentage was over 1,000 in the World Series. It was over 1,000. That's better than a really good hitter's OPS in a regular season. So, yeah, Pearce definitely performed well. But I want to ask you guys if you thought he should have been the World Series MVP. Chris, I'm going to start with you this time.
No.
Oh! Okay, tell me why.
Drew Pomeranz didn't pitch.
Oh, you're right. I forgot about him.
Yeah, he's the MVP for not coming out of the bullpen. Seriously.
Yeah, that's true.
Who else can you give it to? Seriously.
I don't know.
Had he come out of the bullpen, this would be an entirely different series. So MVP, Drew Pomeranz, give him the participation trophy, send him on to free agency or the Sun.
Give him the red truck.
Give him the truck. Give him the hero treatment. Never has to buy another beer in Boston. All that good stuff. No.
And now he'll go off to the Sun.
Yeah, it was. So I thought Steve Pearce was the guy. I don't know. I really enjoy what David Price did. And I liked what he did, and I loved that he kind of sacked up when he needed to, kind of thing. But I just, for a starting pitcher to win an MVP without a relief appearance or two, I just, to me, it's like, all right, cool. You went out there and shoved it 2 games that you could have in the regular season as well, or any other time. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like on a stage like this, had he come out of the bullpen once, I would have given it to him. But
he did come out of the bullpen.
He came out game 3.
Did he?
Yeah.
He pitched he got 0.2 innings.
0.2 innings, gave up a weak hit.
Was that
and then Kimbrel took over.
That wasn't the really long game.
That was the 18-inning game, yeah.
Was it?
Probably.
It might have been.
Did I fall asleep? Did I fall asleep? I was asleep. Oh, look at that. You know what's funny is I was looking at that box score. That box score is something else. I was looking at it, and my God, that thing is a mess.
Did you see what it says for Mookie?
Yeah, Mookie is right field, center field, right field, center field, right field, center
field. It says
right
same
field.
For Jackie too, but it says center field, left field, center field, left field, center field, and then JD Martinez right field, left field, right field, left field, and then he came out. So
and then Brock Holt went second base, left field, right field, left field.
Yep. That was crazy. Could you imagine if you're actually keeping a freaking scorecard at the stadium? I hope people don't still do that, but for that reason. But if you're keeping a scorecard and you have to keep making those switches, holy crap! That's
I just give
a Da Vinci Code. Yeah, my God, you can decipher that thing. There's not enough room. Better bring a pencil.
So I take everything I say back. Dave Price should have been the
MVP. Okay. What about you, Dave?
I can't argue Steve Pearce getting MVP. He was amazing. It was a great performance, and he had some incredibly clutch hits, and he was great throughout the whole series. But my vote would have gone to David Price just because I think, Pearce is great, but I'm kind of old school in the sense that I value great pitching over great hitting. Maybe it's a personal thing that I like watching great pitching more, but what Price did was really nothing short of phenomenal because his Game 5, he pitched on short rest. He, pitched Game 2 on regular rest, but did great. He came out of the bullpen Game 3, and he was warming up for Game 4. He could have gone into that too. Really, I think the best course of action should have been if they'd gone co-MVPs for Pearce and Price, because really picking between them just feels so wrong because they're both so fantastic throughout the whole series, and we wouldn't have won it in 5 without either one of them.
I have an important question if they did the co-MVP thing.
Yes.
Who gets the truck?
The joint custody.
Split it into 2 Priuses. There you go.
They cut the truck in half. One of them gets the bed, one of them gets the cab.
Exactly. For me, I also agree that it was really tough to pick between Steve Pearce and David Price for this award because both were very deserving. I think if David Price had gone 9 innings in that game, he definitely would have won it. I also think that there was a knock on Price. The only knock on him was that his strikeout and walk rate were not that great. Look, I don't know. I don't even know who awards the World Series MVP. Is it the commission? Who actually?
Random people vote.
Random
baseball prospectus people.
No, do they really? Baseball prospectus.
It is. There are a few baseball elite people that vote for it. I don't know who they are, but I think there's like 10 or so people that just, hold the fate of the world in their hands.
Okay, cool. I didn't know that. But so they have a stat. I forgot where I saw it. I think it's baseballgauge.com. Win probability added is the amount of wins added to your team. And they track it at the baseball gauge for the World Series championship, which I don't know if they do on Fangraphs in the playoffs, but they did a baseball gauge, and it was for the series. And Steve Pearce added 1.96. For context, the next closest, I believe, on the Red Sox was about 1.01, and I think that was Joe Kelly. And then David Price was like 1.00. So if you look at it from which moments mattered, obviously Price pitched more. He obviously pitched more than Steve Pearce, but he was more involved in every out, if that makes sense. He was more involved in the plays because, he retired so many people compared to Steve Pearce, who only got a few at-bats and some defensive opportunities. But in those opportunities, Steve Pearce added so much wins, they were so important, that you can actually quantify it. And the gap between Pearce and everyone else was so stark that, to me, it's got to go to my captain Steve Pearce. And Price pitched awesome, and he did amazing. And for the narrative, man, that maybe he should have gotten it, but Steve Pearce, my boy, the certified Yankee killer, you are forever in my heart, and I can't wait to re-sign you. And that's my take on that. So one last thing I want to ask you before we wrap this thing up. Chris Sale, Nathan Eovaldi, were both warming up. They were both warming up in the 8th inning of this game. They went with Joe Kelly in the 8th. Joe Kelly, also awesome. Loved that guy. Now, I love him in the postseason. We probably weren't all big fans of him. No one was a big fan of Joe Kelly before the postseason. But who do you think should have came in the 9th? Chris Sale or Nathan Eovaldi?
So,
Dave, I'm going to start with you. Or Chris, you go. You got something to say.
So it wasn't just Eovaldi and Sale. Barnes was out there too. He was like standing up the side.
I know.
I was like, all three of them were like, "I'm getting in this game." You know what? I swear, and I wish I was there. I bet Chris Sale was like, "I'm going in this game." Like he just he's like you all.
We're going Barnes.
He probably looked at Eovaldi and was like, "Dude,
probably would have eaten Pomeranz alive and left his corpse on the bullpen mound as a warning to the others."
I think they should have put Pomeranz in. That would have been hilarious. He closes out the last out of the World Series. How fitting would that have been for the 2018 Red Sox? No. Honestly, I would have loved it had they gone like 1 out apiece, just to mess with the Dodgers. Like that would have been hilarious. But I think Chris Sale willed himself into that and looked at Eovaldi and was like, "You already had your moment, dude. Let me have mine." That's what I think happened.
Well, what about you, Dave?
Yeah, I think going Sale was the right choice. Obviously, I love Evo for what he's done. He had a fantastic World Series, and he like we said earlier, I think what he did in Game 3 basically powered this team for the next 2 games. But this is Chris Sale's team. He's the ace of the staff, and he's been pitching through the postseason through a shoulder injury that's probably really, really messed up. I'm not looking forward to dealing with that over the offseason, but Sale deserved to be the guy on the mound to close out the game. He couldn't get the start, but he got the finish, and I'm just, he deserved it. Eovaldi had his moment in the sun, and he deserves the glory he gets. Sale deserves the glory he gets. Price deserves the glory he gets. It was a very fitting way to end it, and ending it with Machado striking out with it falling to the ground, that was just perfect. That slider just
that was nasty. That was vintage. Did you see the tweet where someone just Manny Machado's body on that play actually looked like a K?
Yeah.
Someone just put a red K over him, and it was perfect. Oh, that was the best way to end that. That slider was lethal. Sale was absolutely dominant. I think both would have been good narratives. I wouldn't have been mad with either. But yeah, Sale hadn't pitched in a while. He deserved to get in there. And then Chris, we saw I hope all of you guys saw the video of Chris Sale's dad dancing shirtless after the game. That was pretty cool too. Basically,
runs in the family.
I hope we all saw the video of Rick Porcello doing naked cannonballs.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a thing.
That is a thing. Yeah, it was just glorious. The Red Sox are your freaking 2018 World Series champs. Guys, do we have any departing thoughts here? Dave, do you got a departing thought? to wrap up the 2018 World Series Boston Red Sox team?
I just want to say, it's been a hell of a ride. First year for Red Sox Unfiltered, and we win a World Series. Just want to say thanks to everyone for listening, for reading our articles, following us on social media. It's been a blast, and I can't wait to, keep it up. We're going to have a great off season. Just because the Red Sox stop doesn't mean we do. We're going to keep on spewing out great content and get ready for 2019.
Yeah, and Dave never sleeps, so he's going to be cramming out articles at like 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m. It's going to be great. Right, Dave?
3's a little early.
Yeah, 3 is a little early. Yeah, 4 or 5. What about you, Chris? What kind of departing thought are you going to leave with these elated Red Sox listeners?
So I have a message for ESPN.
Oh, yeah, they're listening.
They better be. They better be listening to me. Come on, I'm important. So they tweeted out a way too early 2019 power rankings today.
They're fourth!
They put the Red Sox fourth. Let me tell you, ESPN, that the Boston Red Sox are going to come and shove that right down your throats, because I don't know if you noticed, but the 3 teams that you put ahead of them trolled the Red Sox, trolled them, and then got stomped by them, curb stomped by them. So, they come in for ESPN next year, and somebody needs to let the freezing cold pigs guy know about this one.
162-0. It's happening.
It's coming. It's coming. You know what? 161. Come on, Dave. Be realistic.
Yeah. We'll probably Cora's conservation strategy. We probably won't try that hard once we clinch it in June. So
exactly. I actually just looked up who the article was written by because I saw the article. It was David Schoenfield, who's actually a pretty good writer sometimes. So this
who's actually a pretty good writer sometimes. That's a compliment.
So this is mean. What the hell, man? But the Red Sox have the best odds to win the World Series according to Vegas, so we have that, and we have the actual World Series, And yeah, I wanna basically say what Dave said. Thank you guys so much for listening to the Red Sox Unfiltered podcast, for reading our articles on RedSoxUnfiltered.com, for following the Twitter account, for enjoying this awesome special season with us, because without you guys, this wouldn't be possible. And, this has been a great season. I'm glad we got to share it together. We're going to be back for an amazing off season. I think, as I said, free agency will start November 2nd. So that's already exciting. And options will, I think, all have to be figured out before then. So there's a deadline on those. Red Sox have Nunez. They have David Price, who probably will stay, 99% likely.
Nunez already opted in.
Yeah, Nunez opted in, basically.
So he's here. Pablo Sandoval will also be free money. Pablo Sandoval will also be back with the San Francisco Giants, in case anybody cares.
Good. Well, Hanley Ramirez will not have his vesting option exercised, in case you guys were worried. So there's that. And for that, I think that's going to do it for the 28th episode of the Red Sox Unfiltered podcast. You can listen to us on SoundCloud, on iTunes, and shout out to our affiliate, The Grueling Truth, who posts our podcast, disseminates them on many media contexts like Spotify, like Stitcher, and iHeartRadio, among others. So go check them out, and of course, go check out RedSoxUnfiltered.com. Go check out our BoSox Unfiltered account. We have a Facebook page that's on the low, but that's getting some traction. You can just type in Red Sox Unfiltered. Pretty dang easy. But yeah, guys, thanks again for everything. We'll be back hopefully next weekend or this weekend. Wow, we've been doing these on a Monday. Hopefully we'll be back this weekend with a first basically off-season episode. Until then, guys, just keep celebrating. Douse yourself with alcohol. This has been the greatest ride. Enjoy the parade on Wednesday. If you're going, have a great time. I wish I could. But yes, thank you guys for everything. Thank you, 2018 Boston Red Sox. Thank you, Alex Cora. We'll see you guys next time. Actually, you won't. Bye, guys.